Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Why don't we, instead of introducing new board members, we'll just go around and introduce ourselves, and we'll start with Chuck.
I'm Chuck Parsons. I was recently selected in caucus to the county council, and then I was assigned this as part of the council. Most of you know that I'm retired from the Sheriff's Department. I worked there for 33 years, and I currently am working as with a subcontractor for the state of Indiana.
Thank you.
I'm Nancy Marsh, recently retired as county auditor. I spent 30 years working on the county level, and thought this would be a nice transition to slowing down and still being involved.
Dawn Loudon, I'm on Avon Town Council. In my personal life, I'm a realtor and have lived in Hendricks County since 1989.
Bob Gentry, County Commissioner.
Dennis Dawes, County Commissioner.
Brad Wicker, newly elected county commissioner, previously county council for 18 years, and I had served on this body maybe one or two times.
Feels like twice, maybe? Yeah.
I'm Van Bridget. I'm a town councilman, vice president of the town council in Plainfield.
Ben Lacey, town council at Brownsburg, and in my real life day job, I'm a director of global supply chain and logistics at Allison Transmission. So I've been there 25 years. This is my second or third term on this. Second, maybe.
That feels about right.
Second. Yeah.
Mr. Daub is unable to be here this morning, but he is serves with Danville Town Council. So,
Thank you, Lynn.
thank you.
Okay, we do have a quorum. We need to elect officers, and the office of president.
Mr. President, move for Denny Dawes as president.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. President, move for Brad Wicker, vice president.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hey, I'm kidding.
All right. Secretary Treasurer, I'll move for Ben Lacey.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Approval of our minutes from October 22. Assume that you have read those and/or contacted Lynn or Katie or Amy if you had changes or thoughts, but I'll accept a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
And moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Abstain, I was not part of the board at that time.
And I abstain as well.
So do I.
Let's see, can we approve them then?
No, because there was four abstentions.
I don't think we can, so we'll wait.
Will we be able to in the future?
Well,
We would if you had.
Brad would have been here.
I'm sorry.
Ken Dow, was he here? Can he vote?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
So we could bring it back.
So that gives you the majority.
So we'll bring them back to our next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, next. Amy.
Morning.
You are
Nice
up.
to see some of you again, and welcome to those who I haven't met yet. Katie and I are very busy still in person, in class. That's our favorite way to do hands-on STEM education. Is kids' favorite way to learn too. But time doesn't always allow it, so we also have STEM kits that are very popular. We've actually signed up more teachers in the middle of the year this year, which is cool. And our book bins, which are for K through 2 students, STEM bins are 3-4, book bins are K2. They're also doing well. We're building up steam with those. They are brand new. And then in the springtime, we're gonna bring back our reuse a shoe program. So our participating schools, we have 9 who have signed up so far, and they still have until March to sign up, so we expect a pretty big turnout there. We work with Changing Footprints, which is a nonprofit, local nonprofit, and they give shoes to those in need locally. They also give shoes to disaster-stricken areas, so I expect some probably will go to California. And they're really good to work with, all volunteer. They pick up the shoes, they do all the messy work for us, and we're really appreciative. Last year, I think we brought in almost 5,000 pair of shoes, so this year I'm hoping for even more. We are including the libraries in on that as well this year. So Brownsburg has signed up, so thank you, Brownsburg. Speaking of bragging on people, Avon Schools recently had a teacher awarded from the National Science Foundation. Only 150 teachers a year are awarded this award, but it is the Presidential Award for Excellence in Math and Science Teaching. It was Lisa Kern, who was one of our Teachers of the Year as well. We appreciate her. She's an AP Environmental Science teacher, and she's excellent. And she walks the walk. She does environmental protection in her daily life as well.
Thank you, Amy. Thanks for the work you do. Any questions for Amy from any of the board members? Okay. Lynn, you are up.
All right, thanks to all of you for being here this morning. It's almost a completely full house. We appreciate that. So, a couple things to start real quick. You all should have a anti-nepotism form there. If you haven't filled it out yet, please do before you leave. Just helps us check a box with the state. I also put some 2025 Talks Away Day sticky notes. These are very popular, so give them to all your friends and family. And if you need more, we've got plenty. So help us get those out. In your packet, we always include this our program results, charts and graphs, and we've got a full picture for 2024 now. For our Talks Away Day program, annually, last year we had 4,148 folks through the 5 events. We collected over 338,000 pounds of material during that time. On the users side, it was about the average that we've seen over the last 10 years as far as the number of people through. But our tonnage, our weight, was down to the lowest that we've seen in 10 years. And I attribute part of that to, you may remember that the health department did a tire amnesty day. I believe it was September, maybe this, in 24. So I'm sure that drew in some folks that might have otherwise used Talks Away Day. Great program that the health department did, and I believe they're planning to do again in August of 25. So, but we're always glad to help our residents get rid of those chemicals, bulbs, batteries, tires, electronics, appliances, those kinds of things. Yard waste recycling centers. 2024 was our biggest year ever by a long shot. We had 467 more folks to the 2 centers in 24 than we did in 2023. And when we were having this conversation last year at this time, 2023 had been a record breaker. So just kind of speaks to the real uptick in the volume and the number of visitors to the yard waste recycling centers. And for some of you that are newer to the board, what we believe is driving a lot of that is when Waste Management purchased raised trash. Waste Management's much more strict about what they'll put in the truck. And so if residents have bags of leaves, grass clippings, those kinds of things, a lot of times those are getting left at the curb, whereas raised would pitch everything in. So it's good. More folks are not just throwing that stuff away. A lot of it is finding its way to our yard waste recycling centers. We are also having residents that aren't necessarily real happy that they have to bring it to us as opposed to just having it disappear at the curb. But Our attendants have done a good job of explaining that to folks. So another way to kind of characterize the uptick from 2005 to 2023, there were 2 months over that course of time where we saw 900 or more visitors. Last year we had three such months. And one of those months we had almost 1,100 visitors. So big demand. So we're ready for it, and the yard waste centers will open again in April. So Coatesville Recycling Drop-Off Center, that's one of our unmanned sites. We have one in Coatesville, one in North Salem. Coatesville collected 167 tons of material in '24. That's 13 tons more than last year, and 51 tons more than the average. There has just been pretty steady growth at that location. North Salem collected 78.5 tons. That's 5 tons more than last year, but about 11 tons less than the average. I think people out that way are still figuring out, do I go to Liston? Do I go to North Salem? Does it depend on the week? Regardless, it's there and available for folks to use. Liston Recycling Center, we had over 28,300 folks through in 2024, which was our first full year of operation. We collected 376 tons of material, and the best part about those 376 tons is it was very clean, very good recyclable material, which is a fight that we fight at those unattended sites. So some of those tons that we collect out there, they get weighed when they come to the sorting facility, but not all 167 tons are going to be recycled because there's going to be trash and who knows what. So all time at Liston, we've had over 44,000 folks through already and collected 560 tons. The Christmas time, we knew it would be busy. I don't think we knew that it would be as busy as it was. It was bananas out there. Our busiest day, we had 348 folks come through, and that was the day after Christmas, 26th. Our busiest week was that same week, and we closed one of the days. So 834 folks utilized Liston in 3 days during the week of Christmas. The following week was, we had 793 folks through. Amazon boxes, you wouldn't believe it. So our attendance did really well. They were hopping, planning ahead for Christmas of '25. We'll need to have 3 attendants out there. I was able to get out one Saturday and help for a while, but just managing the throughput, it's a lot. So, and Saturdays, just a normal Saturday, they're very busy out there. Our attendants, they're open from 9 to 3, and it's constant activity. So we have seen a bit of a downtick with the snow and the cold. People are a little less excited to pack up the truck and haul it out there, but it'll tick back up this spring. So I think that's about all I had. I'm happy to try to answer any questions.
Questions for Lynn on any of those items on his report?
Pretty impressive.
Yes,
Well,
it is.
Big kudos to our attendants. They appreciate the work. They're there, and if there's something I need to know, they'll tell me. And they're doing good work out there. So, next thing I want to talk about is this annual report we put together. The first thing I need to point out is the misprint on the front that we found. Anybody else notice it? We're missing the E on responsible. I'd like to note that my staff and I both proofread it, and the file that we sent to the printer was correct. So we're working on a misprint, or on a reprint, and we'll have corrected copies tomorrow. But similar to...
And how many of these would have been printed?
I just did a small run, 35
Oh,
or so there's not lots and lots, but.
All right, thanks.
I've done something similar in the past. This time we made it a little more robust. Highlights the programs and accomplishments for the year and recaps a lot of what I just shared with you. It also covers the Governor's Award for Liston in there as well. And partnerships that we rely on to get our work done, and our community grants program, youth education, all of those things. So I will be sending copies of this to our legislators with a cover letter and some other information, just to keep them up to date about how we're spending our time and resources. And I'm happy to get corrected copies to any of you if you want to take them to your councils or share them in any way, shape, or form. So let me know, and we can certainly do that. Any questions on that piece?
Keep going.
All right. Mr. Dawes and I were able to sit down in November, I think, for my annual review, and one of the items that came up was development of a strategic plan for the recycling district. Give you a little bit of a history. When I first started, IDEM was requiring districts to develop 20-year plans. We are approaching that mark. It's a little fuzzy right now whether IDEM is still requiring those that have expired plans to do a new plan. We've asked, the Association of Solid Waste Districts Act has asked that question of IDEM and never gotten a real clear response. So I think there are more helpful plans to put together than maybe what IDEM requires of districts. We did a 5-year strategic plan around 2014, but really don't have anything current to work from. So it seems like it might be a good time to embark on that. I guess my question and question that Mr. Dawes and I kind of chewed on a little bit was, what does that look like? What does that process look like? Do we try to engage a consultant to help us, understanding that we also want to kind of direct where that goes? We don't want to get too far afield or spend a bunch of money for something that's not going to be helpful. So,
Thoughts from any of you?
I don't see a consultant as necessary. I mean, ultimately, that plan needs to be what you believe is in the best interest, and your board needs to believe it's in the best interest for the next 5 or 6 years, and nobody knows that better than the people in the room.
I agree.
I would suggest that, I agree, consultants can sometimes muddy the water, they can become expensive, and there's nobody that knows the business better than you and the people that you work with. So I would look at a 10-year plan, maybe 10-year buckets of time, something shorter, smaller, more measurable, and start there.
So are we suggesting to Lynn that he perhaps put something together, bring it back to us, or would you prefer to have a meeting together with Lynn and talk about things together, to work together on it, which would mean we would probably meet outside of this meeting time?
My suggestion would be Lynn put a draft together and then make time for all his board members that are willing to sit down on one-on-one.
Or just a phone call.
Or phone call,
Yeah.
any of the nature, get some input from each individual, bring it back, and then we'll try to put the pieces together. I don't think that's too daunting of a project, but
We might consider doing it as a subcommittee, working with Lynn, where Lynn isn't working alone. I'd be willing to serve on that subcommittee. And I like Ben's idea of a 10-year plan, but I'd like to have 5-year intervals to where we don't find ourselves at the end of a plan with nothing in it.
I agree with, we're gonna have some objectives that we're going to want to achieve within that 5-year period. We're gonna want to be able to do a little bit of a look back and measure our success.
Okay, this helps kind of begin the process, and I'll get to work on kind of a framework, and may come back in April with asking for a little bit more guidance. And I think it would be helpful to have some other subcommittee, or at least a few to
Bounce ideas off of, you can include, I mean, Dan and I can jump in there and assist.
So Dan and Ben are volunteering, maybe one more of us, anybody else? Okay, good.
Okay, I appreciate
There
it,
you
thank
go.
you.
Thank you. Good discussion. Go ahead, Lynn.
All right.
After you jot your notes down.
Yep, I'm good, thank you. Some upcoming events to make you all aware of. This is report time for all units of government. March 1st is a big deadline for us to get those reports submitted, so we'll get to work on those. March 21st is the deadline for applications for the district's community grants program. So tax exempt nonprofit organizations in Hendricks County that want to maybe expand or begin a recycling program or waste diversion program can apply to our grants program and receive up to $5,000. We've done for lots of towns, libraries, churches, schools, those kinds of entities over the years. So we've got 2 grant applications on my desk currently for that. So a good start. April 1st, as I mentioned, our yard waste recycling centers will open again for the season. Our first Tox Away Day is April 5th at Brownsburg East Middle School. That's generally our biggest event of the year for Tox Away Days. And then April 22nd is our next board meeting. So a few other items that I did just want to bring up, make the board aware of. I did meet with the Debbie Fletcher, who's the county's EMA director, a couple of weeks ago to discuss the county's disaster debris management plan. If you're not aware, solid waste and recycling districts have a role to play in the event that there is a major event. Generally, when we're talking about disaster debris, it's going to be more tornado, flooding, those kinds of issues, and what happens to all of the woody waste and the appliances and the hazardous waste. FEMA, as you can imagine, is particular about how things are handled if the county wants reimbursement for some of those costs. So back in, I believe back in 2015, the county developed a debris management plan to some degree. I was loosely involved at that point, and then I think it kind of got put on the shelf. And but in meeting with Debbie, it was one of her on her list for this year anyway. So we had a good conversation, and I expect that I will be involved as work gets underway on kind of reviving that plan. So another item that is on my list for 2024. If you'll remember back, I believe 2019, maybe 2020, or we had one scheduled for 2020 and then we canceled it due to COVID. We were doing some waste and recycling facility tours, opening up, inviting the public to attend, some of the best ways for our residents to understand about recycling and about what actually happens at the landfill is for them to see those facilities firsthand. It's generally very eye-opening. So I'm kicking around the idea of coordinating a tour of Twin Bridges landfill sometime later this year. One piece of that would be touring the working face, seeing where the material's coming in and kind of how it's managed. So I have not had a conversation with anybody at the landfill yet, but generally they are very willing to host and are happy to have those tours. So I'll keep you posted on that. Lastly, for the director's report, the legislative session is underway. The district is a member of the Association of Indiana Solid Waste Management Districts. I'm currently serving on that board. And the association's obviously keeping an eye and ear open to anything that might be happening at the State House that would directly impact districts, both on the waste diversion, recycling side of things, and just as a unit of local government, there's things change for units as well. So, so far, haven't heard anything that is concerning or anything that we garner support for. But if something comes up, I'll let you all know.
Questions for Lynn on any of that? Okay. Financial report.
All right, I'll keep trucking. In your packet, you should have a financial report. First piece we look at is our financial facts summary. This closes out the fourth quarter, our month-end snapshots. A couple things to point out. Last October, I requested and the board approved an additional appropriation of $50,000 to help close out last year. So that additional appropriation money is noted there for December 31st. It was approved by the county council in December. Thanks to Nancy's help getting all that done. And before we see each other again, we've got CDs at Hendricks County Bank, one held by the Special Projects Fund, one held by the Rainy Day Fund that will mature. We'll just go ahead and roll that interest in and reinvest as there's no real demand for that money at this point. So.
Board okay with that?
What length of time are you tying that dollars up for in your CDs?
It'll depend on the rates. No more than 24 months usually.
Okay.
Income chart is the next page there. A couple quick notes. Last January, the board approved increasing the tipping fee rate to $1.25, and that would become effective in April. So those final disposal fee income numbers, April through December, reflect that increased rate. But it is interesting that August through November, even at the higher rate, the amount that we received in 24 was less than 23, and it just kind of speaks to the variability of how much waste comes into the landfill. If Waste Management wins a special project, then that can increase the amount, and it just becomes tough to predict when that's your chief mechanism of funding. So I just thought that was interesting as I was looking back. Yard Waste Recycling Center totals. Obviously the activity level is reflected in the amount of income. And I did some quick kind of back of the napkin math just to give us a sense. So the Yard Waste Recycling Centers last year, busiest year we've had, brought in $38,600. Again, quick back of the math, including wages and costs of utilities at the sites and costs of clean out. It was around $97,000 to operate the two centers. So we do charge for folks to use the site. That's fine. It helps us offset some of the cost, but you can see there's still a pretty hefty cost to operating the centers. So just thought that was interesting and wanted to share that as well. The back side of that sheet is just some comparison charts for those that like to look at it that way. So.
Any questions on that? Go ahead, Lynn.
Next sheet is just some budget transfers, some small housekeeping year-end things. No new money here, just moving it around within the budget. We usually do a motion for those.
Okay, Chair would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded on the budget transfers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Lynn.
The next sheets are, it's our fourth quarter report, kind of reflects everywhere the money came in and everywhere it went out. There's a lot of numbers there for you all. Big picture is we brought in $102,000 more than we spent last year, which is good as we try to rebuild our general fund reserves. Certainly the increasing of the tipping fee helped that. Happy to try to answer any questions. And if you take this home and look it over and have questions, don't hesitate to reach out.
Questions for Lynn? It was a good year. 24 was a good year.
It was a good year, yes, sir.
It was. Thank you.
You're welcome. The next item, we've got 3 registers of claims, November, December, and January. For those that are new to the board, in those months that we don't meet, Mr. Dawes usually, although there are other signers on the account, will come review the claims and sign the checks. And we'll sign the register, and then I bring it back at our next meeting, more for ratification of the board.
Do we need to approve these?
We do, yes, sir.
Chair would entertain a motion.
Motion approved.
Second.
Been moved. Is there a second? Second. Second by Bob. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
You.
New business. I don't think we have any old business.
I don't believe so.
No. Rainy day fund contribution, we talk about this each year.
Yes. So
Go
back
ahead, Lynn.
in 2023, the board adopted a resolution. Prior to 2023, it was stipulated that there would be a contribution to the rainy day fund. The board adopted that resolution that gives you leeway to decide annually whether the contribution will be made. We could contribute up to 10%, which would be $99,450. I'm sorry, 10% of the 25 budget. Our current balance in the rainy day fund is about $1.5 million, and that money has been earmarked over the years for whenever the landfill closes or generates income at a level that no longer sustains the needs of the district. So at this point, my recommendation would be to forego that contribution again for 2025 as we work to rebuild our general fund reserves.
I would agree with that. I mean, the money in the rainy days not doing anything other than providing a little bit of fallback protection. I'd rather see the money be utilized within the community and advance in programming.
Board okay with that? Heads are nodding
Okay.
yes. So we will not make a contribution to that for this year. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you for that.
Now we need to have a public hearing, correct?
We do.
On a proposed resolution to amend the final disposal fee rate structure. We've been talking about that. So I will open public hearing. And the only public person is in that very dark corner in the back. Jack, saw you come in. Does anybody have any comments? All right, hearing none, we will close the public hearing. Thank you. And we have a resolution, I believe.
Yes.
Go
So
ahead, Lynn.
in October, the board's instructions were to advertise for the public hearing today and prepare this resolution that would move the final disposal fee amount from $1.25 per ton to $1.40 per ton. I did email Justin Buster with Waste Management last week. He and I had discussed it last fall, but I wanted to be sure that it was still on his radar. He emailed yesterday confirming this would move it from $1.25 to $1.40. I said, yes, that is correct. And what the resolution lays out is what Waste Management suggested in their comments to us in October of '23.
So the chair would entertain a motion for resolution 2025-01.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on that?
Do they anticipate that this 15-cent increase is going to sustain for what period of time, I guess?
It's a good question, and it's a tough one to answer, again, based on the variability of the amount of waste that comes in. My gut feeling is this will probably, we should be able to manage with this for some time. It's tough to know. It really is. I think some of it will also be dictated by this strategic plan that we're going to look at, and I think there's some interest in, at some point, perhaps opening another attended recycling center. There's some other things that the board has discussed, so it's a difficult question to answer.
So not looking at annual increases.
I don't think that an annual increase is likely, but we have determined that we're going to discuss it annually, revisit the idea.
A little bit of background. We had not increased our tipping fees ever until last year.
Right.
And we were looking to making just one step from where we were to where we will be in 2025. But in consultation with Waste Management, we developed a step approach. And I agree with Lynn, it's unlikely that it would change in any time in the near future.
I remember when I was on the board previously, you guys had voted down that 1 year to not increase, and now, so I'm just asking what, what the projection moving forward would be.
At a minimum, it's something that we're going to review annually, and based on needs and changes, economic changes, macro, micro, what have you, it needs to be talked about, at least discussed annually. So.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lynn.
Good discussion. All those in favor, have we voted already?
No,
Yep, I believe that one's all.
I didn't think we had, so.
I don't think we voted on the motion, did we? No.
But
Oh,
we're-
I'm sorry.
But we're signing it as we
You're
go.
good, you're good.
We're okay.
Yeah.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, was unanimous, minus our
We're
word.
getting excited.
Good. Now we can officially sign it.
We're good.
You're trying to be efficient.
Yeah.
Um,
We're not even halfway around the table yet, so we're okay.
We have another resolution, Resolution 2025-02, and that's our Community Advisory Council appointments for 2025.
That is correct. So our Citizens Advisory Committee reviews those community grant applications that the district receives. State statute also stipulates that our annual budget is reviewed by our CAC. For a few years now, we've had 7 members on the board, or on that committee, excuse me. Generally, the approach of the district board has been, if there's a member that isn't able to make any of the meetings, they are not reappointed. Bev Stafford has been a long time, she was a board member, served as board president, has been on the CAC for a number of years. 2024 was a rough year for her with her father was sick and ended up passing away late last year. I reached out to her. She would like to be able to continue to serve, but also understands the position of the board. So I brought the resolution in a couple of different forms for your consideration.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So, Mr. President,
Yes.
you wish to appoint the 7 existing members plus Bev Stafford, or is she in the?
She's
the
listed.
7?
She's listed.
I would move then to appoint the previous 6 plus Bev Stafford.
Second.
Who seconded?
Second.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you for that. And then we have another resolution for next -03. And this allows for the payment of claims during the time that the board does not meet. And that is the way we've done it. And the board president gets together with Lynn, or we do it via email, talk, go through them.
I'll move to adopt Resolution 2025-03.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And then Lynn already told us, before we leave the room, we have to sign these anti-nepotism certifications. So please do that. Board of Director comments. Anybody?
Mr. President,
Yes.
about 10 years ago, there was a storm went through Brownsburg and hit Rolling Hills and Rolling Acres. And the citizens there piled their debris out next to the road and assumed the county highway would pick it up. Well, they did, but you and Debbie Fletcher probably ought to have a conversation and make people aware that while the county highway may be drawn into that, if it's a big one, that they can't assume that's gonna happen. And the Highway department Kurt sent people out there and they helped them out, but that wasn't the way it was supposed to work.
As I understand, when it comes to these disaster debris management plans, obviously, communication to the public is critical when it happens, but instructing the public about, just like what you mentioned, is critical too on the front end. Just some sort of public information out there about what folks can accept, or what folks can expect.
Thank you, Lynn.
Good point.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any announcements before we adjourn?
Couple of quick things if you'll allow it. Next board meeting is April 22nd in this room. We have an email newsletter that goes out twice a month, the second and fourth Wednesdays of every month. I'd like to be able to include all of the board members on those. It's a subscription
I guess
service.
it'd be a requirement of being on the board, Lynn.
Okay. Well, if you have
That's good.
major objection, let me know. Otherwise, I'll be sure everybody's included that way. And in those off months when we're not meeting, I do send out a board update, generally around the fourth Tuesday of the month. Just to keep you all updated on what's going on. But if there's you ever need anything, have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. So.
Anything else? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Good meeting.
Thank you all.
Who seconded the closure?
Who seconded it?
Yeah.
Adjournment?
Everybody.
Members, we have Mr. Gaston by phone.
Morning, Dave.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Dave. Let's go ahead and call our meeting order. If you'd stand with me in a quorum, pledge allegiance and a prayer if you choose to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we ask that you guide us, for heaven knows we need it, that we make decisions that are appropriate, that we do your will and not ours. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen. If you haven't signed in, please do so. It's already here. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes from January 14th.
So moved.
Second.
Moving second, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
There are none opposed, motion carries. No bills to be paid.
Just a piece of housekeeping. The minutes went around from the last meeting, but they didn't get signed. So there are two sets of meetings.
Oh, okay. So we have no review fees, no drain maintenance fees. Would someone make a motion to accept the auditor's report?
Move to accept the auditor's report.
Second.
Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, motion carries. Mr. Stillwell, do you have anything for us?
Well, talking about the Conservation Club dam, it's on the commissioner's agenda to give me some authority to go to the Conservation Club to negotiate a lease. As I see it, we have three options. We can keep things as they are. We can negotiate a lease. What I would like the commissioners to consider is that we negotiate a lease, just like it's been in there for a long time, that they maintain the property. And we can put in the lease that they would be responsible for all maintenance beyond the assessment of the ditch board.
So that's something you want in the drainage board to recommend to the commissioners?
Well, you don't have to recommend that, more the commissioners.
It's more, okay, it's a commissioners.
We're just kind of reporting here to the ditch board,
Okay,
that overlap of members. Or, you know, since it's a recreational use, not for profit, the commissioners can actually just deed the property to them. Okay. But I think the goal, if I understand some thoughts and comments, is that we'd rather not be responsible beyond the assessment. Right? I mean, willing to use the assessment for whatever purpose it can, but beyond that, the county would not be responsible. Is that kind of some of the thought processes?
well, you remember they rebelled when we did that because they wanted the work done, but then when we told them what it was gonna cost, they rebelled against
Well,
that.
They've told me for 25 years they have not a penny. They tell me they don't have one nickel, but they use it all the time.
They have
So-
the means to raise it.
I'm just telling you what, they don't have, they can't afford anything. I'm just telling you what they've done in the past. I'll go see.
So we need to have Denny bring that up in the commission meeting then?
Yeah,
It's on our agenda.
Okay,
and it's real simple, just authorize me to talk with you. I won't do anything, I won't make any commitment without your approval. Okay?
okay. Thanks. Anything else?
No, thanks.
Dave or Tiffany, you have something for us? Hello, Dave.
Go ahead, Anthony. I'm here. Can you hear?
Yes, we can hear. So,
Yeah, Go ahead, Tiffany.
I don't have anything, boss.
okay,
I don't either.
well,
Excellent.
anyone in the audience have anything to bring forward the drainage board? This is unbelievable.
I mean, I can make something up if you guys
No,
want. Oh, okay.
no, please do.
Hey, Bob.
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
It's cutting out or something.
Is he done?
Dave, are you there? cut off, maybe.
Florida.
So,
Yes. Go ahead.
after the last meeting, we needed a break.
I think he said why this one's so short was because the last meeting we needed a break. We needed a break because the last meeting was so, that's why this one's
Oh.
short.
Bad humor.
Yeah, it is. Good call, Mr. Berger. Well, anyone on the board have anything to bring forth the drainage board before we adjourn?
Nothing.
Okay, Cheryl, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been second, those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Harder than money.
All right.
Guess we get to go sit in the.
Go back to bed, Dave.
See you guys.
See ya. Where do I push here, Gary? The
Yes,
big-
sir.
The big phone thing?
Yeah. Tom and I.
Is that it?
And then a similar. Let me talk to Cheryl.
Maybe.
One new
Going back and
missed
forth with
call.
to deal with.
Oh, they.
Soccer fields, is that approved or is that in front of you guys?
They're coming before us for a ways.
Starting to find the shoulders again, it's 2 units. Then fourth out, there are 3 shoulders each. It doesn't want to go on that big. She liked to have one smaller. After I showed her, it's not really the issue.
I didn't, yeah, okay, just making sure I didn't look for it.
Well, your son being out there. So I'm not pushing it on.
Last year.
Oh, because I just shut it down.
Annexation issue.
I just did the mics, I didn't touch anything else.
Gotten
Let's stand and pledge of allegiance, followed by a prayer by Greg Sturwell. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We ask that you guide us in directions, direct us so our decisions we make are pleasing in your eye. Bring our servicemen and women home in your time and be with their families as they wait their return. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Greg. Thank you all for attending today. We do have seats open. If people in the back or whatever want to sit down, please do so. And those online are looking or viewing, I guess, wherever you are, welcome to our meeting. Thank you for tuning in. And at any time, if you have questions, feel free to email, call us, any of us. We'll try to be reasonably responsible in responding to you. So thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our January 14th meeting.
moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Approval of the claims. Those have
Approval.
been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the claims that were sent to us, and we reviewed those. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. New business. Waiver of application fees. And I don't see,
Ryan Dre.
yeah.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Ryan Lindley with Banning
Yeah, Ryan.
Engineering,
Good morning.
853 Columbia Road, Plainfield. I'm here today representing Hendricks Community Soccer. They're a not-for-profit organization for youth soccer, all age groups up to 18. We are currently going through the zoning, or have application to the Plan Commission for zoning approval. And I'm here today to request a waiver of the fees for the nonprofit organization. This is consistent with Brownsburg Youth Sports, which is just to the west of where the soccer team is wanting to go. So.
Any questions from?
Do we have a policy in place for that? I don't have any problem with the waiver. I just think we should probably have a simple but formal policy that, so that we avoid treating one differently than the other.
Good call. Mr. President, because we received some criticism, I remember over the waiver of fees, was it for the drainage for?
That was for the Brownsburg Youth
Yes.
Sports.
Yes.
And
What did we do
We reduced the
we-
per acre
we
fee,
reduced it, yeah. We didn't.
maybe from 250 to 100, but
is that what we did and that's what brought the criticism?
I didn't recall
I-
the criticism.
I don't
so
think
you-
we had any criticism.
I received some. I
Oh,
can't
you
remember.
did?
It's been too
Okay.
long ago.
Okay, I don't.
As Mr. Wicker said,
I think we need to have a policy.
Yeah, that does.
I think we should absolutely
So
treat a
uniform.
non-for-profit
Yeah.
Okay.
differently than a corporation or a for-profit development, but we should develop a policy.
Okay, I'll look to over my left
I'd look
shoulder.
that way.
And we'll let Todd and our council work on something, okay? But on this request today, like you said, Brad, I don't have any problem with it.
I don't either.
At all, so.
Well, I guess just for the public, what's the value of what you're requesting?
It's based on a per acre fee. I believe this, the zoning application would be about 1,400, if I recall right. Then we have development plan behind that. It's close to another 2,000.
But I guess to further that, is your request different than what we granted the other non-for-profit? Because if we reduced, that was a request for reduction from your boss,
Yep.
I'd hate to give you,
It's the same thing.
so you're asking for the same, which was a reduction, is that correct? Isn't that what we did?
It's a waiver of the application fees.
Okay.
Yeah, and if I may, I think what you're asking for is like the application fees to the plan commission.
Correct.
And maybe what you're referring to is drainage.
Drainage.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
But didn't you ask, did they ask for one for plan commission fees
I will
also?
be seeing the drainage board
At the
soon.
other
Oh,
facility?
okay.
So we should be consistent
Yeah,
from the drainage
absolutely.
board and
Yeah.
the
Yes, just so we're consistent. that's-
planning and building.
Okay.
Now, review fees and county subconsultant fees, that will be paid.
Yeah.
These are just the county application.
Okay,
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
so
That was the drainage, that's where I was coming up.
one of you want to make a motion on this?
I don't know if I do how to do it. I'm not
say-
sure I know exactly. Are we waiving fees for other departments that are,
The application fees that I think would be for the plan commission.
Planning and building.
The plan department, is Tim in the room? There he is, back there. Tim, do you have any idea of what that might be?
About $1,500.
As Ryan said, 1,400, 1,500, okay.
I'll move for approval then.
And I would just be specific on the application fees for
Yes,
planning and building.
yes. That my motion reflect that's for the building planning. Control.
I'll second it.
So it's been moved and seconded to waive the application fees for the Hendricks Community Soccer Organization. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? And then we requested Todd to work with Greg if needed to develop a policy that we'll look at, so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. And I know that Banning, and I'm sure other organizations, you folks work with not-for-profits at a reduced fee, I know that, and sometimes for nothing. And everybody appreciates that very much, so thank you. Okay, our next item on the agenda is the AT&T letter request for BEAD funding. And are you Bill Swords?
I am indeed.
State your name and address for us, please.
Bill Swords, 9 Stonewall Lane, Zionsville, Indiana. Good morning, Mr. Chairman,
Good morning.
President, Commissioners. Nice to see you all this morning. Great.
Good to have you here.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm happy to give you the short story, the medium, or the long story, but obviously there's a
Short to medium.
We'd prefer
The short to
the-
medium.
Yeah.
There is a $868 million program in Indiana to help ensure all Hoosiers get access to broadband. There are still a few, although Hendricks County's made great progress in either building or in progress getting high-speed internet to all your residents. But there's still a few hundred that we're interested in pursuing state funding for to help complete. And so I've submitted a letter to Todd in hopes of gaining your support and seeking those dollars to bring back to Hendricks County. Happy to answer any questions.
This is federal funding.
It is
that
federal
correct?
funding that the state will be allocating. Yes, sir.
Okay, and they have not allocated anything yet,
They have not. We're about a week and a half away from submitting applications.
I see.
And letters of support from local elected officials are one of the requirements as part of the application process. Yes, sir.
So are you, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and we'd received it, but we were just a little.
Needed a little more background.
Uncertain as what the ask was and the basis of it. So that's why we didn't take action at our first
It's all right.
commissioner
I
meeting.
understand.
Would it be fair to say that other organizations like AT&T are requesting BEAD funding as well?
There are 51 entities in the state of Indiana that will be seeking approximately $868 million across all 92 counties.
A lot of money.
Okay. So we, go ahead.
Mr. President, yes, there's a area in my immediate area served by some entity from Boone County, but they really want to be with Endeavor and Hendricks Power. So this would just, Hendricks Power would then they would be one of the applicants for this also too.
So there's only specific addresses in the county that are eligible for this funding. The addresses that have been proven to not have internet access. Homes where there is current service are not eligible for this program. This program is solely about bringing internet access to people.
Do you have a pretty exact number of how many residents there are in the county that?
Less than 1,000.
Okay.
And the area that we're targeting tends to be kind of the eastern third of the county, primarily portions of Brownsburg, Avon, Danville, a little bit of Danville and Plainfield.
Interesting.
So this funding won't be available to do upgrades then? If you already have it, then
Only to new.
only if you
This
don't have.
funding is available to those who do not have internet access. That's correct.
What is your request of the amount of funding for Hendricks County to do this? Is it based on the number
Probably
of?
rooftops or.
Well, as much as I'd love to tell you a number, because it's a competitive government grant, our antitrust attorneys have advised not to share that information publicly, if you don't mind. But I can tell you, I mean, there's about 144,000 homes across the entire state and less than 1,000 in Hendricks County. So it's a small project.
What was the 844,000?
$868 million.
Yeah, I was gonna do the math and divide it by the houses to see what the dollar was, just for
It'd give you a ballpark.
fun.
Of course, farms that are 10 miles from town are different than a home that might be near town.
So your focus is the east side of the county, not the west side of the county?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Why not look at the west side of the county?
Honestly, there aren't very many homes that internet's not available in the western portion of the county, at least, or have been funded already to be built in the near future.
I see. Okay. All right. My only, I'm gonna be a little picky on the letter.
Sure, feel free.
So your last sentence in it, other than thanking us for consideration, it says, "We believe," which means, I guess, Hendricks County, "we believe AT&T Indiana to be the best provider to bring that fiber connectivity to our community," so on. So do we have to put the word best in there because there's other providers?
Commissioner, you can do anything you'd like to do. I presented this letter as a work product.
Good call.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. President.
Okay.
We don't know that you are the best.
That's fair. I could have a longer conversation about that if you prefer, but
Please
I'll-
no.
Okay, and that's not a knock on
No, I think that's
AT&T, but yeah.
Sure.
I just think it needs to be more general.
Yes,
So,
I agree.
Okay.
I
So,
will tell you this in my own defense. You get points for having a letter, but the quality and the content of the letter is a scored element as well.
I see.
So be gentle.
So I could just handwrite something. Okay, just kidding.
That's all right.
Thank you. Thanks for appearing before us. It's a pleasure of the board.
Well, I would move for approval, subject to your comment in regard to the last sentence.
I would just strike the best, right?
Yeah.
That's probably simple enough.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Is that your motion?
That'd be fine. Just strike the word best.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, thank you.
With Todd on the
Yeah,
execution
you
letter.
can, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I don't do that often, thanks. All right. Next is CASA program contracts. Catherine, good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you. These are annual renewals of 3 contracts for our CASA program. All these positions have been graded and the contracted amounts are consistent with the county's wage scale. And they've been reviewed by Rick.
And these are basically independent contractors.
That's correct.
Is the way we need to view this.
Correct. It's
Okay.
3 independent contractors and then trained volunteers.
Okay. Assume you've looked at this, so I would entertain a motion for approval
Move
of
for
these 3.
Second.
Any other questions? And their names are listed in our material, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Catherine, thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is our county prosecutor,
Good
Lauren
morning,
Dell.
gentlemen. How are you this morning?
Thanks for calling us gentlemen.
Yeah, use that. That's a very broad definition in my book.
Okay.
Backing up already.
Now I'm gonna make my ask. All right, so last year, in the budget proposal for this year, I added a new investigator who came online actually yesterday, was his first day. In that ask, it wasn't like it was foregone, that I'm gonna need to have him have a vehicle. I have 2 other investigators in the office, both have vehicles, all of them need vehicles. But I thought I could plug that hole through either a forfeiture, because when I got the approval or the nod, or at least the wink, it was in June or July. And so I thought I had 6 months to either get a forfeiture or a hand-me-down from the sheriff's department, which has worked out great. Neither one of those have happened, so that well has dried up. So I need the purchase of another vehicle for my 3rd investigator, and that's why I'm here.
Okay. It's not a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, right?
Well, used, no, just kidding.
Okay.
No, so the needs that, and if you want to talk about the needs of it, and the uniqueness of it, is that we do 6 to 7 community events every year. And there's a lot of equipment involved at multiple different locations. So think Night Out Against Crime in Avon. Well, now Brownsburg does a different Night Out Against Crime on a different location. We do various other things. So there's a lot of equipment involved in that. So transporting those to and from those. So a truck or an SUV is what we're looking for. And then also something that's got to transport people. We got to get witnesses to court, pick them up from the airport, those types of things. So it's got to be a passenger vehicle that's able to carry people. And it's got to be able, the last thing would be is that on the wish list in terms of the type of vehicle, is that it's not, so we have 2 vehicles right now that are currently readily identifiable as former police cars, if not police cars right now. It's a Dodge Challenger and a as white can get Durango. So people know that those are at least police cars, or they're not as common, in terms of ordinary citizens. So making it
incognito.
yeah, not traveling as incognito. So we're trying to look for a car that's a little more incognito, and then fits all the other requirements.
Mr. President, would this work through the enterprise system?
So I am not asking for it to go through the enterprise system because I don't want it to look like a fleet vehicle. Secondly, I'm gonna pay for it out of, I know this doesn't necessarily concern this body, but we have forfeiture, not general fund. So forfeiture, and then we also have like a DEA getting money. It's still forfeiture, but it just comes from the DEA that we got a $25,000 check last year. So those 2 pots.
But no real oversight on the cap value of what you're gonna buy we trust that you're gonna be responsible, you're not gonna buy.
I can tell you it's gonna be used in it.
$90,000 Tahoe.
No.
Okay.
It will not be, I guarantee you, it will not be a $90,000. So the price range, if you're looking at about 30 grand.
Yeah.
We're looking for a used truck, really, but not one that's gonna break down on this, on the other side of it. It's got, holes in the floorboards and those types of things. So a used truck is really what we're looking for. And again, I don't necessarily think I want new for the reason that I stated. It's not it's not as incognito as I would like for it to be. So.
Okay. Mr. President, I move for approval.
Okay.
Will you quit beating me to that every time, Bob?
He's quick.
You won't give me a shot at approval, so I'll second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Lauren, thank you for all you and your department does.
Yeah, oh, thank you.
Yes, you are out on the firing line.
Thank you very much.
No pun intended. Yeah. Aaron Hughes, Hendricks Regional Health Medical Wellness Agreement for this year.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is our annual contract renewal with Hendricks Regional Health. The increase this year is just a 3% increase, which they had noted in their last contract that it would be an additional 3% this year. Greg has reviewed the contract and just asking for your approval.
Aaron, one question I have. So one of the exclusions on this are radiological services, X-ray, CT, MRI. So how is that handled then if one of our employees needs that?
So they'd have to go to the hospital to have that done, and then that would run through insurance. They don't have those kinds of machinery or those kinds of pieces of equipment in the wellness center. Yeah, and that's why.
Oh, got it, okay.
Yep.
I thought it was like, this is excluded, you cannot get this.
No, you can get it,
Okay,
you would just have to go through the hospital to
got it,
obtain them.
okay, very good. Chairman.
Move for approval.
Good job. You want to second that?
I did, I did so.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thanks, Aaron.
I've got another one.
Don't leave. You have another one.
Yep.
St. V's Employee Assistance Program.
Correct. So, same thing, the only change in this one is just a 4% increase. I believe St. Vincent's does a great job. I've heard back from our employees telling us that they do a really good job with their counseling and the other things that they do to other opportunities. So, just asking for an approval for this.
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Comment?
Yeah. Go ahead.
What is St. Vincent's doing that Hendricks Regional can't do?
Hendricks Regional Health does not do the mental,
They don't.
they do not have the mental counseling.
In that case, I'll second the motion.
Okay, question again then. So in the detail of this on compensation, it says such rate adjustment shall not exceed 4% per year.
Correct.
So do you, like, they come back to you and say, just because it says shall not exceed 4%, they say, we're gonna increase it 4%. Do you or somebody say, well, how about 2%?
Yeah.
I did not go back and negotiate just
Okay.
based off of the previous year.
Okay. Just asking.
That's
All
good.
right. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thanks, Aaron. You bet. 2025 Health Board Attorney Contract. Krista, good morning.
Yes, this request is to increase the hourly rate for our attorney who provides services for the health board and the health department.
Okay.
The increase is from 250 to 300 in the hourly rate. And to give you an example, if we applied that to what we paid last year, it would be a difference of $830 a year.
Okay. And then Mr. Oliver has the ability to bill the county at the rate for work over and above that the health department may need him to do. Is that correct? Or this strictly is for the board meetings?
So this is for the board and the health department. So all of the services for any of the questions I have for him, this
Okay.
covers, this is included in
And
that.
that covers it all and, okay. Oh, we agree with that, yes. We don't have any problem with that. So if, Eric, if you're listening, we don't have any problem with it.
I believe he said it's been 5 years or more since he asked for an increase as well.
Good. Chair would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Krista.
Thank you.
Mr. Swally, you've got a
Good
few,
morning.
you've got a few items.
Less than
And-
last time.
And Jack, real quick, before you even get into any of this, we receive an email, as does everybody.
Yes.
Occasionally, and occasionally meaning, I'll say, once a week maybe, that says the south elevator or the north elevator is out, et cetera. Are we looking at like replacing elevators at some point, or?
I
is it
currently
is it
have
just
those
they're old and
quotes.
worn out? or-
They're old and worn out, but at the same time, I'm having a challenge with the vendor to do part replacement on doors and triggers that seem to always be related. It's not the device, it's the doors and the operation.
I want to say more bill of goods than we need.
Correct. So we've got the one in the back, the south, or I believe it's south. We're hoping we have that corrected. We're working on getting it warmer and everything. So the maintenance side is really where I'm at. I do have a proposal for replacement and updating. It is older devices. It's sizable. So I'm really trying to work on getting the maintenance on them, on the car itself corrected, than going down the other road. But we may have to go down the other road. And it is consistent that if it's not one, it's the other. And if it's not that one, it's the other.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I see those all the time.
stairs are healthy, though.
It's like, okay, yeah, very good. Okay, enough of that.
Chris
Jack,
appreciated that.
yeah, Jack, go ahead with,
So the first, we have the change order request, the acceptance for the new highway garage. So as we progress through that project, we'd like the ability to sign some simple change orders that would be associated. So a good example would be we start the footings, we run into some bad soils, we have to lime stabilize or whatever, that would be a change order. This would never get above the appropriation line, and we would be limited, and it would be reported to you in my staff report, and then Garmon would have it in their reports too. It's a timing thing more than anything else, because if there's something needed, the engineer, architect, and everybody else would have to sign off of a change order too. It's a request, so we review it, but this is sort of allowing a process for us to be able to sign that document in the field or at that time and not have to bring it back to the board in that time frame.
personally, I think it's a great idea.
It should create a little more efficiencies.
Correct. Time is crucial on that project, and change orders do happen. We don't like to just sign them, but it is an appropriate part of the process.
It'd be unreasonable to think we're not gonna have change orders on a project.
It would be nice to think, but
Correct.
I'm
Okay.
sure you know that.
May I make one comment?
Yes.
Sure,
Just to support what Jack's saying.
just for the record,
I'm Dan Zerner with the Carmel
thanks.
Construction Manager for the county.
Thanks.
So just to support what Jack's saying, and we really haven't had this conversation, but once we start construction, Carmel will have a full-time superintendent and a project manager. I really won't be billing the county at that point in time, but I'll still be serving as the in-between between Garmong and the county with Jack. And what we're committing to here is that you'll have the Garmong recommendation by the project manager. You'll have the architect or engineer's signature. You'll have Jack's signature and my signature. So you'll have four parties agreeing that this is the right thing to do. And none of it will ever exceed the budget you've already approved. We're just moving money around. And should we have something that exceeds this amount, it'll come back to you because it'll be a major decision.
Very good.
And what is that, Dan? What's that amount?
50,000.
50,000.
We cannot exceed 50,000.
I don't have a problem with, I don't like change orders, but I understand it'll happen.
It's inevitable.
If it's not aesthetic, so.
That's correct. There's
Correct.
nothing, the other thing is this will not change the scope of the project.
No.
Right.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, right.
if it's, it's earthy stuff, backhoe stuff, it's that kind of thing, I don't have a problem. But if it's changing the color or a door, I don't.
No, it's not, the scope will not, we are not allowed to adjust the scope of the project.
It's gonna be structural in nature.
Okay.
Correct. And it would go through the process of an RFI and everything to resolve that or issue, get it direct.
And then on a monthly basis, we will produce a report of what those decisions were, so you're fully advised and you know the balances that are there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chairman,
Move for approval to authorize change orders.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
The next challenge is the carpet in the clerk's office at the courthouse. Carpet's approximately 15 years old. We've had some challenges. We've cleaned our carpet, which has worked really well, but on the older carpet, it had an adverse effect. And it's really not the cleaning method, which we went through the carpet manufacturer and everybody. The older carpet's not made like the newer carpet, and the newer carpet will last much longer and everything else. And we have it duct taped, and it looks embarrassing, but that's all we can do to keep it from being a tripping hazard at this point. This would to replace it all in the whole office area as one with the newer product. It'd be guaranteed the install and everything. And we will change our method of cleaning the carpet in that area a little bit. They don't really have air movement in that office space, so we will be using fans and everything else to help dry out that product. It's not very wet to begin with, but we've learned that in that particular building, we don't have the air handlers in that section.
Jack, do you have how many square feet they're talking about?
You know, I don't have that particular number, but it's a big office area. It's the little offices, the big office, where the public comes in, and I apologize for not having that square foot.
Are these carpet squares like?
Yes.
in here? Okay.
Now, they're the same carpet squares that are outside here that are the higher end carpet squares that we were able to do a bulk buy and get that number down. That's why these carpet squares out here look very nice, is because they were the higher end carpet squares than what was installed 15 years ago in that site.
Good durable product and easy to repair. You can pull in sections.
It is, but once it's done with its life, it's like an old pair of
What did you
jeans.
say, 15 years
Yes.
of commercial use? That's beyond
Correct.
this.
10 years is normal. It's like an old pair of jeans when they finally just sort of come apart.
Yeah.
It is an embarrassing sight.
Chair would entertain a motion to approve the.
So moved.
Second.
Then moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you.
I was here at the last meeting with the one door contract and mentioned that there was 2 doors to be done.
Yes.
It was very challenging to go through the process and get that other invoice and then break them apart. So now I do have the other invoice. I have looked into other contracts for those doors, and just because it's a fire door and it's that product and everything, it's very limited and very expensive. This will upgrade the motors and do away with the chain drive and go to a belt drive. It's more upgrading the system that we have, and I believe we have 7 doors here in this building. So, apologize having to come back again, but I just
No,
did not
that's all
have the
right.
appropriate paperwork.
I'm glad you were able to get it worked out the way you did. Chair would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jack. Mr. Ayers, we move to your areas.
Yes, sir. I have 2 things for you today. First is a supplemental agreement for the design of Bridge 136. This is on County Road 550 West, just north of Stilesville. Our design consultant on that is SJCA. We had some increased design efforts on some things, a decrease on some others. We needed to reallocate some money within their agreement, so it's a 0 change to the overall fee. I'm bringing it to you just because you signed the original agreement, so I think the supplemental ought to be signed by you as well. But we had increased effort in bat inspections. I love those. Some changes in project limits and some riprap sub-stabilization issues. They actually did not do as much work as originally anticipated on the permits and pavement design and right-of-way engineering, so we were able to just move money around within the agreement.
And it says $0.
Correct.
So
But it's still a change.
it's a
Still a
change.
change, right.
Yeah. Chair would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
And allow the
Opposed?
president to sign.
Yeah. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. The next item is notice to bidders for a signal installation at Old State Road 267. One of these days, we're going to have to quit calling it that, but 267 and County Line Road down between Plainfield and Mooresville. That's been a bad intersection for a long time, and we did some studies here a couple of years ago and determined that a signal there is probably the best bet.
Got some bad
So-
sight lines.
Yes, terrible sightline. So we, the utilities are out of the way. We only had to buy 1 or 2 little pieces of right of way. We have an agreement with Morgan County because some of the work is on the Morgan County side. But we're ready to go to bid, so I don't know when we could do that. Are we in time to do that in the second meeting in February? Okay.
Yeah.
And I also have the plan title sheet for you to sign too after the meeting.
Chair would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. John, I don't know if we'll ever stop saying old 267.
No, probably not. One of these days, the state's gonna make us quit calling it.
Well, they'll have to change the name completely. Okay. All right, go ahead. Yeah, oh, you
That's
don't
all I
have
have.
anything else?
No,
Okay.
sir.
We do. Danville Conservation Club lease and dam. And that is, survey, recommendation from the surveyor's office and the drainage board.
I can speak to that.
Please.
Please educate us, Counselor.
The lease began in 1947. It was a 50-year lease, and it was renewed in 97. The terms of the lease has always been that the Conservation Club be responsible for all maintenance. A lot of story about the dam and the whole 9 yards and how that all came about. There's an assessment on it, but what I would like to do is enhance the terms on a new renewal of the lease, emphasizing that they're responsible for the maintenance over and above what the assessment is for the ditch board. If we can do that a couple different ways, we can put that in terms of the lease, or we can deed the property to them. I won't do anything without, I won't commit the county to anything, but I'd like to, I need to start, I need to get this done. Okay? Is that okay, those parameters?
Are we okay with that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which option do you prefer?
Deed the property.
They are recreational use. The statute does allow you to deal differently with the recreational use, and they qualify as recreational use. That it's part of it. It is in fact a part of their original incorporation documents, calling it a recreational use. So I'll explore both. I'll put an emphasis on we'll deed the property to, and it's yours, and we don't have to deal with the lease anymore. But we'll put in the deed that they're responsible.
Okay. Very good.
In the past, that's been the stopper, I think, when we've had some issues with that dam. They wisely, on their part, have not wanted to take that over.
Right.
Yeah.
But the county spent a lot of money on that dam in the last 10 years, so.
Yeah. So it should be in a shape where we're not turning it over to them in need of work.
Consensus, okay?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, all
we're
right.
ultimately looking for Greg to
Yeah.
strike a deal
Yeah.
better than we currently have,
Okay,
more favorable,
very good.
Clarify the deal we think we have.
Yeah, all right.
fair.
Okay, our next item is, at our last commissioners meeting, John Parmley with Epic recommended to us that we form a self-insured study committee to evaluate our insurance and look at self-insuring. So I sent out an email saying that we would have on that committee Brad Wicker, Eric Watson, Todd McCormick, Todd, Aaron, and Mila. And then I was reminded by an individual that Dave Wyeth had said in our meeting that he would serve on that, so we'll add him to that group. So it will be Brad, Eric, Dave, Todd, Aaron, and Mila. And John, that you can work with. I think we can take that by consensus, that'll be the group.
Good with it.
That way it'll keep it small and we can maybe get through things, and you'll bring, if you want to say anything to us, John, feel free.
I would say that Milo and I exchanged some emails yesterday about the days that best work, and I think
I'm good with whatever, doesn't really matter to me. But start in March. I have a couple meetings that I need to do on my end to make sure that I've got all the information, and then we would just set those meetings according, I'll let her just take care of that, and then I'll show up. But I'll do all the work, so.
Prepared.
Yeah.
Mr. President?
Yeah.
Will we need then to have competitive bidding for the reassuring?
We will do that. I mean, we'll have all the different contracts in place to do that.
Okay.
So that's part of what I'm doing in February, honestly. I have a meeting tomorrow with another carrier, and I have another one in 2 weeks. So I'm trying to make sure I got all my ducks in a row.
Getting your groundwork done.
Yeah, I'll have my feelers out at least. And then we would go through the TPA side, and then my hopes of this committee, we would, when we pick a carrier, talk to them a little bit about that, their risk management, as well as on the TPA side, talk to them about that, with the goal of having that done mid-year-ish.
Hopefully that committee comes back to this board to make a final
absolutely.
decision.
Yeah, so be a work in progress, but needed.
Good. Thank you.
Yep.
So that will be it. Good. Next item is comments from the floor. Anybody, yes, please come up and state your name and address and
Thank you, sir.
whatever you want to say to us.
Yes, sir. Jeremy Burton.
Just be kind.
Thank you, and I would also ask for kindness. No. I'm Jeremy Burton, Indiana Comcast Government Affairs. Just like AT&T did earlier, we are planning a BEAD proposal in Hendricks County. But before I talk about that, real quick, a couple of years ago, Comcast pursued a rural project here in the county, and you provided a letter of support for that. I wanted to quickly update you on it. As you know, we targeted 222 rural homes in northwest Hendricks County, and we've completed our fiber build to those homes. Comcast invested $2.1 million in that, but we, because of your support, received a grant to pay. The state paid $721,000 for that. In BEAD round one, we've identified 155 homes near that area that makes sense for us to go ahead and apply and invest in those homes. And we're here today to humbly ask for your support for that. I have a map of the project area for this new project, and I can pass that around now, if you'd like to look at it.
Sure.
The state of Indiana has identified these 155 homes as unserved, and Comcast plans to build fiber to them if we are so chosen. And you also were emailed that as well. Yes, sir. That's exactly right.
We've got that here.
Yeah, we actually have the
Yes,
map
sir.
provided to us.
And I also provided a sample letter of support. It lists out some of the things I've participated in the county. The state's interested in us being good members of the community, and we certainly strive to follow every ordinance, every permit. And the construction actually went very, very well. And also we restored all the yards and all the roadways that were damaged in the midst of construction. So we have a good track record, I think, of building in rural Indiana. So.
And you didn't put best in yours.
No, sir, I'm really glad I didn't. I'll tell you what. That was good.
Going there, and I go, no, I'm not going to, and then he goes there.
Thank you for.
Yes, sir. And we're trying to submit by February the 12th is when everything's due. We'd like to submit, later this week or early next week, just because we know the system's gonna be bogged down and we want to get a head start. And we're almost completed with the engineering for this new 155 home project. And so we're almost ready. We just need a letter of support.
So,
What do you think, board?
As I look here, if we approve and some of these homes in the Jamestown area are in Boone County, are you okay?
Oh, and we've also received a letter of support from Boone County Commissioners for those homes. We've already received that.
Very good.
And we're not asking for any kind of local match like before. We think this will be approved. We think because we're gonna ask for so little subsidy, because it's already so close to our existing fiber, we think this will be an easy one for the state to approve and help those 155 families in Hendricks County.
Great.
Well,
Go ahead.
one more comment, Mr. President.
Sure.
I don't think you did it.
Yes, sir.
Somebody plowed fiber in, you remember, John, from Noblesville to Plainfield and went down the county right away and had no permission.
Destroyed it? Oh, they had no permission.
Oh, they just did it.
We always have a permitting phase before any construction begins, and we make sure every permit is followed, and we want to meet with your permitting folks and make sure we're meeting their standards at every step. So, yeah.
Okay. Are we okay to sign this letter as well, and we'll let, or you can work with Todd, Mila, and.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
And
And
I've take it by consensus.
That's fine.
I'm supportive.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Okay, thank you.
have a
Good
great
to have
day.
you with us. Any other comments from the floor from anyone? Okay. Elected official comments. Any elected officials? Okay. Staff reports, Mr. Ayers.
First two items on my memo we've already addressed. The third one has to do with some clearing. We typically, on our bridges and things like that, we like to do our clearing ahead of time before we go to a bid for a couple reasons. Sometimes that helps us dodge the date restrictions on bat habitat, but also that allows us to get utility relocations done, hopefully ahead of time. We have a couple people we routinely call for quotes. Usually these are pretty small items. Usually they're under 10 grand. We have a couple right now that together are pretty significant, so I wanted to make sure you were okay. These are on Bridge 28, which is on 700 North, just west of 267, and the other one is on Bridge 39, which is actually on Raceway Road. We reached out to 3 different firms for pricing, Davy, Save-A-Tree, which used to be Ping, and then Artistic Touch, which is the guy down at Clayton, Belleville area that we've used. And the 2 projects together, Davy said they didn't want to quote it. The other 2 did. Save-A-Tree quoted $127,916 for the 2 projects. Artistic Touch proposed $60,775. But as far as clearing projects go, these are bigger than what we normally, the 2 together are bigger than what we normally do. So I just wanted to go through you on the quote, make sure you were okay with that.
So, Mr. President, if I might, so the bridge west of, in Brownsburg on 700 west of 267, that first bridge?
Yep.
It's gonna go away?
Yes,
Oh,
it is.
when?
I don't know, when do you want it to go?
I don't know. It's in Denny's area, but
It is.
the Bethesda,
I know where it is.
they use that.
They do.
We actually have, we will be coming to you probably the second meeting in February in an executive session to talk about some right-of-way issues.
Okay.
This clearing quote actually on that project is just on the north side because the property owners on the south side were going to be in eminent domain with various stages. So I don't know the timing on that. It kind of depends on how quickly that goes. It is locally funded. That's not one of our federal aid bridges. So, I mean, we could go to bid yet this year, you know, maybe in the summer if we get the right-of-way cleared up.
That'd be good.
But there is some utility work. Fortunately for us, the utilities to be relocated are on the north side of the road, which is where we already have the right-of-way. So we're going to go ahead and do the clearing so we can do utility relocates. And whenever we get the right-of-way cleared up on the south side, then we can go to.
Since it's not federally funded and we can do it, it'll
Right.
expedite. things.
Well, yeah, we're not on their
Right.
funding schedule, so.
So, John, now we'll be hearing from folks on the west side on 700, because we've heard for quite a while from folks on the east side on 700 that goes out.
Yeah, it's their turn to have
Ronald
traffic
Reagan,
issues on the
so-
west
So
side.
now we'll hear from the other
Yeah,
side.
right.
Okay.
The bridge on
Very good.
Raceway Road is very complicated, more complicated because it's kind of dense, the working room isn't great there, and traffic control is gonna be a big issue there. So they're having to, both contractors put in quite a bit more than normal for traffic control to do that clearing. There's no easy way to get down on those roadsides there.
Okay. One more question, Mr. Mayor. Sure. So is it worthwhile, John, to do what we did there on Jeff Gordon to build a runaround?
I don't I don't think so in this case.
Okay.
I did there because that was the main route in and out of Pittsburgh.
Interstate, right.
This, on 700 North, it'll be an inconvenience, but there's
There's a good other.
there's other ways that aren't that far out of the way, like
Okay.
Bethesda can go on up to
Okay.
800.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
I wouldn't recommend that here. And
Okay.
plus, the size of the structure would be quite a bit. One of the advantages we had there in Pittsburgh is the size of the runaround structure was not very big.
Right. It would be
So,
significant.
It would be significant here and would not be cost effective.
Thank you.
In the future, John, I don't know if you're familiar with Indy Tree and Landscape, that's a capable company
Okay.
that could handle that type of
Okay.
clearing.
We have a list of people that we use, but yeah, I'm always open to
They're a
more.
Big one, all right, they've done some sizable
Okay.
clearings and all there.
We'll check with them next time too. And again, I don't normally bring these to you because they're small, but this was a bigger.
And I can get you a contact there, but I just.
Okay, yeah, let me know.
So the chair would entertain a motion to approve Artistic Touch to do this work on
So
these
moved.
two items. It's been moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you, John. Go ahead.
Number 4 on my memo, the application, you signed a letter last time, a letter of recommendation for the community crossing grants. Those are be submitted tomorrow. They're due this week, so those will be turned in tomorrow. Item 5, just real quick on the highway garage, I reported to you, I think, last week, the BZA did approve our variance requests. We had 3 of them. They did approve those last week, so we don't have any hurdles to go through with the town. Also, there was maybe some movement on the sanitary sewer issue where we can hook up to an actual sewer instead of having to do a septic system. So design efforts on that septic are kind of on hold right now for a few weeks till we figure out where that's going with the town. Town's kind of driving that. It'll be between them and West Central Conservancy District, but then we would be asked to participate in the cost of getting the line to that location, but I think that's money well spent to do that instead of having to be on a septic. So we'll know more about the dollars here in a couple weeks.
I had a brief conversation, and I just want to make sure everybody's talking in the same terms of estimated completion date for that highway facility. I don't know when that is, but the date I heard that they could potentially have the sewer didn't align with how quickly I thought that building could be built.
End
I was
of
staying out of it, but-
26, I think is
Yeah,
what we're looking at.
that's
for
not what I
completion.
heard, so.
Third quarter.
Third quarter
Yeah.
26.
So no, that we don't want to finish building without sewer.
Right,
No.
right.
And the dates I heard were 27.
Okay, and that could end up being an issue, but I've talked to the town too, so we need to make sure that their dates align.
Very good.
Um,
Anything else, John?
Just a couple things, I did give you RFQs for the bridge inspections, and Commissioner Dawes said he'll have those
Yes.
completed, your review of those, and then we'll go through those in my office and come up with a recommendation. I'll bring it to you the next meeting, but then we've got to have that selection stuff turned into NDOT mid-February so they can say, yes, go ahead and negotiate a contract. We also did receive RFQs for construction inspection on our 4 federal aid bridges that are going to letting later this year. That's a stack of proposals, so I'll get those to you when you bring in the bridge inspection. Some good reading there. We had a total of 40 proposals for those. Now, that's not 40 different firms. Because remember, we got 4 different bridges, different combinations of the bridges. And then, just to let you know, on County Road 1000 North, we're buying right-of-way now, and that's for the improvements, the widening from 267 over to 900 improvements. We're buying right-of-way now. We have 27 parcels, I think we have to buy, so we're in the midst of that right now. One of the parcels, actually 2 of the parcels, belong to a combination of the townships and the town, there by the fire station. And so we're working through them to see. I'm not using the buyers to work with them. We're working with them directly to see if we can work something out between public entities.
Good.
So
Great. Thank you.
next meeting, I'm going to have some traffic stuff for you too.
Mr. McCormick.
Most of my items have already been covered or are informational only. The item number 6 was the only item that I'm looking for some direction from you on. It's a request for signature on an affidavit.
That's fine with me.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're okay with that. Go ahead.
Thanks. That's it. Unless you have any questions.
No, we're glad that you were able to hire Bob Butler for the inspector for weights and measures. Thank you for that. It's worked out well, I think, so good. Any other questions for Todd? Okay. Doug, any comments for us?
I was gonna say, my report was pretty brief as well, just the one update on the time clocks. We should get that wrapped up today. And, outside of that, if you have any questions, be brief today.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thanks for being brief. All right. Mr. Swally, you have
Mine
it
is the
again.
same, very brief. And we've already discussed the first carpet replacement. We are working with IT on a little challenge on our building control up to the courthouse. I think we got that underhand. And then we did install, or working on installing the cameras in those elevators at the courthouse. It is a very good safety thing, and when it was really brought to light, it made a lot of sense. So we're working on that. And then our stone is manufactured or cut for our replacement out here. As soon as the weather changes, we'll get that installed.
What happened there?
They were using a lift to clean the windows and got above that wall and backed up and,
Yeah, and they bumped.
yeah.
I just noticed and I was like,
That's right, it was right at our main door too, so.
Question, Mr. President?
Sure.
Jack, have you and Doug, have you worked out the cameras inside this building? Are they all done for security?
I don't know that Doug and I've had that personal discussion.
Okay.
I'm sure Doug's constantly working on something. I know that at one time I'd heard some rumors of possibly adding some in this building.
Yeah.
So
So whatever you work out.
I will
just
touch
wondered
base
what it
with
was.
Doug and see, but the ones in the elevator courthouse really makes sense.
Sure.
Thank you.
He's smiling back there, so it looks like the two of you will talk sometime, so, thanks. All right, good. Counselor Sturwald. Commissioners Bob or Brad?
Nothing.
Anything? Wow. Our next item is to adjourn. I would make a comment to everyone that we've been kind of talking about changing our agenda and so on. We've changed it very briefly today, which none of you even noticed, I'm sure. And so we may do more as we move along, but it's not going to hurt anything. So just FYI to everybody. I would entertain it. Oh, I want to make a comment. I wrote it down clear at the top and I missed it. But, yeah, I know I didn't. That's right. But want to thank the Bicentennial Committee that was put together, and I don't think anybody's here from that.
Larry.
Oh,
I
Larry
come
is. Larry, thank you. But Pat Baldwin and Eric Hessel were the co-chairs of that, and they worked through last year for the bicentennial year. Had a wonderful kind of closing session of that and presentation at Hendricks Live in Plainfield on Friday night. And I attended that. It was very nice, but thank you to those folks that served so well and really helped plan and celebrate the 200th year for Hendricks County. So,
Well said.
thank you. With that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Don't forget to sign this title.